right, so let's run our application again. All right, so basically, we were talking about how to use Firebase, the real-time database, to handle the data story for front-end mobile app. All right, so that is the project we use. I already set up the Android application. So we're primarily talking about a database. There are two types of database you can use from Firebase. The one we mentioned is called real-time database. And then we're gonna show you the real-time feature. Okay, and also I explained the database is a NoSQL type of database. That means it's always handling data using the key value pairs. Okay, so the key is just like a pass. Okay, especially they show this data in a tree, this kind of format. So it's very easy to understand. You want to identify or locate certain value, you have to provide a pass. Like this one here, you have to go from the username ID, students, ZID, and then the name of the attributes. So you can separate those using slash in your code. But if you want to get all the list of students, and then you just need to find out this position here, it will return you all this student object, right? So let's see if okay, now the app is up and running, and we can do the login. All right, and then password. All right, so here you can add students. Let's try one more time. And then major. So add student. Now once you add it, so go back to the database. In the beginning, always try to verify, okay, you got your data added correctly. So this one also shows the real-time feature. For example, every time you add a student, you can immediately see the changes on the database. That's called real-time. Okay, so we'll see how to take advantage of that feature. And then also I showed you, before I show you the list, but let's recap on how we add students. It's really, really simple, as I mentioned here. I particularly try to simplify this piece of code. All right, you get a reference object, which is basically the same for all the classes. All you need to do is do the standard way to get the instance for the database, and you grab a reference. The reference allows you to specify the actual path. This, okay? I use the user ID / students, and also I generate a timestamp for a unique student ID. And then inside the set method, you pass the actual data you want to store. And you can pass anything you want. Okay, you can pass one single value. You can pass a map just like this. You can also pass a list. Any kind of object will be supported. It will automatically be translated into the Firebase data format. And then you have to handle, you know, what if the data is successfully saved or there's something wrong happen. So one line of code, you can send the data to Firebase. And then we showed you how to list the data. So like in this case, I click on the button to list students, and then it will find out all the students from the Firebase. Let me first run the app. So this is what we did last time. So I click on the button list students, and that shows you all the students here under that students tree, right? Now the way we do it is we go to use the reference again, and then provide a pass or key, username / students. That's going to identify the position right here. So if you click on this one, it shows you a better view. So under this pass, you can see all these 3 students, okay, in this list. However, what Firebase gave you is not a list. Even though it looks like a list, it's actually a map, because when you get everything here, it's actually a map. This key represents this value here, this key, this key. So it's actually a map. That's why we have to do something like this. Right here, you see this is the initial data returned from Firebase. You see this curly brackets, it is a map. It's not a list. If it's a list, it's just a regular bracket. And then this is the key, the value. So what we do here, we actually iterate this little map. And then we add the value part here to a list we want to use, because the list view works only with the list, doesn't work with the map. So that's why we did this little loop here. to add every object into this list, and then finally we save that list into the actual state variable. When you put that inside the set state, it's going to trigger the updates here, because this list view here uses the student list. All right, that's how you can get the update. Right, so for example, if I add this one more, I'm going to add one more, add a student, and then if I list the student again, I can see an updated student view. All right, read and write. I think the read is a little bit more difficult because you need to understand what's the data format. But if you know it's just always a key value pair, it's nothing difficult. You just need to know how to iterate everything one by one. All right. So any questions?
Yeah, so how do you show the data
on the other page? What do you mean? You mean click on one of the view, one of the items, and then open another screen?
You can show it. So once you add it, the data shows on the other.
Sure. What do you mean show the other page? Which page? This one here?
The phone.
Okay. So just tell me what kind of figure you want. You want to show the full data set? Name? Different page. You mean for this record, every one of this record, you want to see the full the data? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So do you want me to implement something like click on this one and open and show the data on the next screen? Is that what you're asking? Of course. So you're talking about like how do you transfer the data from one screen to another one? Okay. Yeah. So that's okay. We can do that very quick. Okay. So first of all, if you want to show more data here, okay, so you should know that you can modify the view here, right? Right now there's only one child and with one text, but you can always do some kind of, for example, a row. Okay. Let's just try that one first, and then row has the children, so that you can put multiple here. And then do we miss any? Oh yeah, we missed one more. Okay, let me refresh. Okay, so that works. So I can show more things. Okay, right now I have a name, and I can do. Let's actually delete this. Okay, so name. I think we got an age and also major. So if you want to show all the details right here, and then just basically get all those data attributes. All right, so that's how you can do it. And obviously you can play around with the layout using the weight so that it looks better. You can also add a little image. Okay, so that will make it better. So let's actually try that. So let's get a little bit images here. Okay, so so there are different ways to save it. So we can do, let's just do a placeholder for now. Okay, so I'm gonna do user icon. So let's do this one here. Looks nice. And then, all right, so this is pretty good. So I'm gonna do something really simple that every time when you add students, let's also add one more image. Something like this, okay? Or you know what, let's actually do a different one so that it looks real. And then let's get another one. Maybe also this one here is good. So let me save this one first. So let's put that into a list and then see how we can randomly choose those, okay? All right. That's one. Here's another. We do one more. One more. All right, this is just 3. That takes a while to load. All right. And then every time we add it, we can randomly choose something from the list. So Dart random from list. See if there any better way to do it. It's new random. Okay, so that still use just an index. So, oops. So we need to get a random function. So let's do it here. Random. We need to import a mass. All right. So that one allows you to generate a random number. So what you do here is, okay, so user icons, the index is random. So random dot next int, and then it uses the length, so it automatically gives you that. All right. So I just want to make it looks better. Okay, so let's refresh it again. Now, first of all, I want to delete the current users so that I can start over. Let me just delete this thing. Okay. All right, so refresh, go back, let me add one more student. Now it has an image URL. Okay, let's just add another one. One more, and then do one more. Okay, so 3 students. Looks like they got different images. All right, let's also display the images. So I can put image, network, and then the source should be this one here. Image. Fresh. URL. See how the image of Flutter works. That's it. So talks about the URL is empty. Well, let me try to load this one first. Okay, so that works. I think it's just about initially. All right, so the list empty and then it's component, I guess. So I can do a, that's, you know what, I'm going to ignore this one. Okay, probably I need to place put a placeholder. If this one is empty, then we don't want to display it. But anyway, you can see here, there's all the information for the user loaded from the database. So let's do this feature. Like I can click on one of those and open another screen and just show the user information, right? So to do that, you gotta modify the try to modify this part here a little bit. So you have to click on a row. And then to do that, for the list view, I think you need to provide this list tile. Okay, I think it's something like this. Okay, let me just use this thing to wrap it. Wrap with list tile. And then that is called title, I remember. Let me make sure it works. Okay, so that's the same thing. And then you can have this method called untap. So for this one, untap, and then you can do something. Now in this case, I can just open another screen, okay? So that means we need to build another screen. All right, so let's build another screen. and I can just, you know, I will just use this one here, okay? Reuse it. So this one I'll call the user details. For this one here, user details, URL replacement. All right. And then obviously I don't need all of those. I don't need random. I don't need to get authentication again. And then the reference, I'm going to leave it there. I don't need all of those. List, I don't need those. So let me clean up the code. Let's get a really simple one that just shows some text, okay? So I do need something to show the text, which is right here. I'm going to keep these ones. So I don't need others. All right, so I'm going to keep these ones. Okay, so I'll just put a placeholder for now. Okay, so use this one here. All right, so let me just delete this part. Okay, just very quickly make another screen to show the user details, okay? So what I want to do this one here is, for now it doesn't show anything, but let's open the screen first. So this one is called user details page. So from here, if you tap the row, which is here, where's the list? Okay, and now we're gonna do the, you know, open a new screen, right? So to open a new screen, let me just copy the code very quick. That's right here. Just in a regular way, open a new screen. And the difference is this one here is called user details page. I need to provide a title, that's it. User details. All right, so let me run the code. So what we just did is this. I click on the list view, click on this one, it's gonna show you another screen. All right, I can come back and I just click on any of those. Click on those and open a new screen. All right, so that's what happened. Now, the question is, once we got this one here, how do we display data? Is that what you're asking? Okay, so there are two ways, okay? So one way, I think maybe the better way is because your data already loaded here, okay? And all you need to do is to pass the data from here to the next screen, so the next screen can show it. All you need to do is to pass a variable or object. So you can pass it as a constructor. You can pass it using other classes or references. So in my opinion, probably the constructor will be better. So because this object here is all saved in this list. Remember, this one has all the image, major, name, everything. So all you need to do is pass the actual object over to the next screen. So let's modify the next screen here. So this one here, I'm going to show you like because this is the whole map. Okay, when you don't have the actual data object, you can just send it as a map. And then I'll call it student, just call it student. All right, and then you need to pass this one through instructor. So once you do this, back here in the home, when you try to create this new page, you have to pass that specific object. So that one is called student. All right. Now, when you do this, you basically need to know which one you're clicking, and that's pretty easy to get because as you tap, you will actually know which index because the index actually told you right here. So that means you can use this same approach to pass the actual student information. So if you do this one, so you're going to receive the actual object from here. Once you receive the object from here, you will be able to get all the, the student information. So let's test it. So because if you have a student here being passed, then let's just do a quick test here. Okay. So from here, you will be able to access the student. And you can't directly use the student name from the parent class here, but you can use something called widget. So if you do widget.student, then you can access it. And from there, you will be able to get the name. And then in a similar way, you can get the age as well as the major. I'll try. So go back. So I'm going to click on Jim, send it over. Jim, the information will be passed. And then you click on Tom, and then Tom will be passed. It's very easy to pass because the data you already loaded. And then this one here, let's just change it. Image. And then we don't need this one. So go back. So this is a different icon. This is a different icon. And they're different. All right. So it's basically a local task by using the using this object. Okay. But sometimes, if you already have every information, you should do this way because you don't have to load things from Firebase here. But sometimes you maybe only know the ID of the students. Then what you do is you pass the ID here, and then use the Firebase to trigger the loading one more time by getting the actual specific user information. So depending on how much information you have at different stages. But in general, when you go to the next screen, you have to know some information about that particular data, either ID or just whole object. All right. Okay, any other questions? So next, let's take a look at the real-time feature. All right. So the reason I said this is real-time is this. So like in this project here, in this database, all right, let's try, for example, if I simply even open this twice in different sessions, tabs. If I do this, for example, all right. So this is the same database, but I open it in two different views, all right. If this is a website or web application, basically two users are seeing the database or data at the same time. So the really cool feature about the Firebase is this. When you make one change, the rest can see that immediately. For example, I'm going to change this one age from 33 to 35. Okay. Once I hit enter, now you will be able to see the change happen on the left hand as well. So if I hit enter, you can see both got updated. All right. This hand here, I want to, for example, delete this record. Once I delete it, both are deleted. All right. And let's try one more. If I just want to delete the whole thing here, delete, whole thing I delete, and I want to try to update this major, and then both got updated. All right. So of course, this one looks very straightforward. That's something that you expect to be, but technically, this kind of thing is not easy to implement. Okay, because you're doing this on the web. Now, it's actually relatively expensive to do this kind of thing because anytime you make a change, you have to send it back to the server has to notify all the others and in real time. In the traditional way, a easier and cheaper way to do this is it's not real time, but every client will pull the server status once in a while for example, every 1 minute, every 5 minutes, every 30 seconds to see if there are any kind of updates. That's cheaper and easier to implement, but you don't have the real time. In order to support real time, most of this application is using something called a WebSocket. So the basic idea is they keep some kind of a communication channel open all the time. So that's why it's expensive, because it's going to cost some kind of network bandwidth and resource, right? But that's how they do the implement the real-time feature. Initially, when Firebase get this feature, the mobile developers are very, very excited, because if you think about the mobile app today, a lot of those cool features are based on the real time. The best example would be the messaging app. When you chat with somebody, you don't want to wait. You want basically to make sure the message you send will show up in everyone's screen immediately. It's not just one-on-one chatting. It could be a group chatting, right? So all of those, the way to implement it is using this kind of real-time feature. Of course, you can write your own backend by implementing the WebSocket. There's a very famous library called Socket.io that you can use to do something like this, but you have to write everything by yourself. Now Firebase just allows you to do it immediately. And then the nicer part is you can also integrate that in your mobile app. All right, let me show you that example. So go back here. Right now, we're not doing anything on real time, because I have to click on this button here to list all the students. And if I do add one student, for example, I do one more, and then I add a student, even though the student has been added, but it's not really showing up right here. Okay, so I have to click on the button to update it. All right, it works, but it's not really cool. So what Firebase provides you is you can set up some kind of a listener, and then tell the Firebase Flutter that if something happens in the Firebase, please let me know. I'm going to do something. All right, setting up that kind of a listener is really, really simple. All right, so first, it's still going to use this reference object. Okay, so I can set up something in the constructor. So basically, I want to say that, okay, I want to monitor certain part of the database. So for example, in this case, I'm just care about the thing here, which is the list. All right, so this one here. So I'm going to reuse this part. All right, so I'm going to monitor here. And then you click on dot, there is something called unchild added, unchild changed. And there should be something else, unchild remove or something, unchild removed or moved. So these are the things that you can take advantage to add some listeners, okay? So I think in the beginning, the easiest way to do it is just change. So anytime there's something change happens, I want to know it so that I can do something with it. So I'm going to click on this one. And then from here, you can then add this thing called listen. You want to listen some of the data and then to give some result, right? Let me try this. I think you're going to give a method that provide an event. And then here's the code that you want to do with this. All right, so that's how you do this kind of a listening. Same kind of approach as you do, just like read. Okay, reference, pass, and then you want to add this listener to this event, which we call it child change. Anything change on the child, this one will be triggered. It's going to tell you the event information. I think also the event will have the important thing called the snapshot. So that's going to tell you which part of the data got changed. But we don't even need to worry about that. All we need to know is when the event got changed. So I want to do this one. I would say some data has been changed. All right, so let's try that. So just one line of code, very, very simple. I'm going to refresh this, go back to the mobile phone. Now remember, when you test this one, I actually made a mistake when I was preparing this lecture, that this code has been added to the constructor, as you can see. Now, the constructor will not be triggered if you just do the hot load, because the constructor was triggered when you just start a screen. So what you need to do is actually go back and log in again. So this part of the code will be triggered. All right, so let's do one simple change. Now I'm going to add this data one more time. I'm going to add another student and then major. So let's see what happens when I add a student. Once I add a student, all right, so the student is added, and I was expecting to see a change. Let's see, it didn't happen. Let me make sure the student was added. So the student is here, but didn't give us the notification. All right. So let me test something else. What if I just modify this part here? Okay, let's try that. So if I only modify this, all right, so it's not triggered either. Let's just rerun this one. All right, see if that helps. One more time, okay. All right, so I'm going to just go back here to modify something. Nope. All right, so hopefully we can debug this soon. I made it work, and now let me think about what I did last time. All right. All right, let me see if I found anything. Yeah, that's pretty much what we did. All right, so they all put it in the initial state. Not sure if that helps, but I'm going to try it. All right, so there is another method similar to constructor, but it runs after constructor is initial state. Okay, let's see if that one works. Maybe you had to do that at certain state. Stated not too early. Let me see. All right, so that should be right. Okay, so just to be safe, I'm going to rerun this again. All right, try this. All right, now let's just do very quick test here with the browser. Change. All right, so let's try now triggering. Is this the right user I'm triggering? All right, let's do a little debug. All right, I definitely made it work. I think that's the thing what we did. Student users. Let me make sure. Child changed. Okay, so let's look at some other examples. Child, unchild, change, listen, and invent. So same thing, invent. You get a child, and then put this one, listen, and certain invent. The invent is just a method. All right. Yeah, so that's what we did. All right, so just to be safe, okay, I'm gonna rerun the whole app. Okay, so I don't really see anything wrong here. The references here. So one more time. Reference it here, and then the user pass, and then modify the changes, listen, invent, method. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's give it one more try. All right, so log in one more time. So this one here. Oh, the unknown. Okay, so that's probably the reason, because when we are getting the current user here, it says unknown. Well, didn't we already pass it? Why is still unknown here? Because that's the reason, because this one is unknown. That's why you're monitoring something that doesn't exist. Okay, so current user, when does the current user being? Oh, it's actually after this authentication. So maybe what we should do is to put it here. So once you know the current user, and then we register, that makes more sense. Okay, so let me refresh, go back, let me log in again. All right, this time I get the user ID so that I can listen to the right pass. Okay, so let's make one more try. Okay, so I'll go back here to change the user's information. Once I do that, all right, guys, take a look at this. Okay, if you missed that. So right now, there's nothing shows up, but if I make some changes, any changes enter this list. Okay, so this one will be notified. Sorry, I typed wrong. This one will be notified. Some data is being changed, and then here's the data. All right, so the data basically gave you the same thing as you are listening to here, gave you the same kind of thing, but the key here is you know something got changed. And also, if you go back here, you add another data, for example, let's add it. This is also going to trigger it, but it's not. So maybe we, okay, maybe we got to add different listeners. That's that they got changed. So you basically have to do on child added and also on child removed. So I'm going to do all of those. Okay. So on child added, you also want to listen, or on child removed, you also want to listen. Okay, let's do it with different names. All right, so let me go back, try this one more time. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to add one more. I will say that another user here. Let me delete the logs. Add. All right, so now the data has been added. So it looks like you got to split the different events for different type of activities. But this is really cool because once you know this, then you can refresh your data automatically. Okay, so this is what you can do. Now, remember when we are listing or because one thing we want to do is anything got changed, I want to refresh this part here. Okay, so right now you can only do that manually by clicking on this button here to list everything. Okay, however, now I can just do that automatically. So what I need to do first is I need to refresh, get the, the code. I need to get the logic, this part of the logic, out of this method, right? So I can build something called update the list. Update student list. So that's gonna do this one here. Okay, you're gonna basically get the actual data and then just iterate it and then reset the data. Okay, so I'm gonna move the code from here to here. Right. Oh, or I can actually just get the whole thing. Sorry, I was thinking something else. So I can just get the whole part here, right? So I move the logic where to load the student from here, and then it does exactly the same thing to set the state. So once I have this method, now I can reuse this method in my function. If you click on the button, do the same thing, right? Or you can just make it simpler, just to use this method. Okay, so let me refresh. So this one still works. You click on the button, it's just gonna load everything. But I can also reuse this method in other places. Okay, I can just say, okay, if you ever see the data got changed, call this method. If you ever got this data changed, call the method. And that's how you can do the auto refresh. Okay, so let's try it. All right, we are gonna do this one here. Okay, so let's try one thing. Okay, so I'm gonna add another user. Okay, so let's try it. Right now it doesn't have the Amy222, and then if I do add student, and oh sorry, I didn't refresh the page. Let me try this again. Okay, one more time. Okay, I got it. Now the Amy222 shows up, but I'm gonna add Amy3. All right, so this time, once I add a student, it automatically added to the list right here, the 333. Okay, this one here. So that's how it works. Okay, but there are too many students. Okay, you don't see the view. The view doesn't look good. Okay, so but I can start to delete things. For example, let's try this. So I'm gonna open this editor. Okay, so let's do this, guys. Now there are this many students, and that's why you see this long list here of different students. Okay, so I'm gonna make some changes on the web. For example, I'm gonna delete this Amy222 here. Okay, so that user probably somewhere here. Okay, I'm gonna delete this user. Once I delete it, this thing here should be updated. Let's try it. I'm gonna delete. All right, so refresh. Let's delete more. Delete more. Delete more. And delete all of those. All right. But you can see that list got updated. Now I can also just change the value here, 23. All right, so that's going to change to 23. All right, I'm going to change this one. I'll change the major any way you want. All right, so that's how the real-time database works. Okay, but then you should see like how simple it is to do something like this. All you need to do is really to add one listener, and then you just take care of how you want to update the data. Now, of course, the updating logic we have so far is not very efficient because every time when something got changed, you actually reload everything, put them into the list. You can definitely design some more optimized algorithm to compare the differences, or they may give you exactly which one has been added, which one has been removed, so that you can just handle that data particularly. But that's something more you can do to optimize it. But the basic structure remains the same. You register a listener, and something got changed, then you do something to update it. All right, so that is really, it's very cool. All right, and as I mentioned, the Firebase is a database. It works for all the clients. You can have an Android app here. You can have the web. If they, as long as they talk to the same real-time database, anyone trigger the changes, the other client will all be able to see it. Okay, that's really the nice part about this whole thing. Right. Any questions? All right, since we have a little bit of time left, I want to show you the iOS because that way we can show you the two apps, they can interact with each other, okay? But I know we need to set up a lot of things for iOS. I haven't done that yet, but let's try it. Because since we added the Firebase stuff, I didn't run it in the iOS. I assume that's not gonna work anymore, but we can start to try it, all right? So to do the iOS, you gotta go back to set up your Firebase first, okay? So remember, go to the project setting. Okay, you need to add another app here. Okay, when you click on add, it's going to show you, okay, I want to do the iOS. Okay, let's do this one here. Now let's do the same thing, and then they ask you to do the iOS bundle ID. And at the same time, let's also open the official document, make sure we're not missing anything. Like here shows you how to set up the Firebase, the project. We were doing the Android, and then let's show the iOS right now. For the iOS, make sure you got everything installed, Flutter ID, everything, and then you create a project here in the in there, and then you want to provide the bundle ID. So for the bundle ID, so you have to open your project in S code, select this one, all of this one. So let's try it. So I think you can open the project in the X code. Let's try that. So the X code is the official editor for iOS development. Okay, just like Android Studio. So I think you can find the bundle ID right here. This one. I'm going to copy this over. If it's optional, let's not do it. Okay, this one, register it. Same time, it will download the file, okay? And it's going to show you where to put it. Just watch this carefully. You have to put it into the application folder together with these files. Okay, so let's try that. So I'm going to show it. This one, I will put it to as a code. It's basically same folder as this info.plist file. I think it's actually this one. All right, so I'm going to place it here. Or I can just add it from here. I'll just place it here. So that's probably easier. All right, so that one also has all the Firebase information. Next. All right, so this is the part that you also need to do, that install all the SDKs. This one uses something called pod. It's what the iOS use as managing the packages dependencies, just like what we did for all the Android stuff for the Gradle. So again, let's try all of this. So we have to create this one if we don't have it. All right. So probably I gotta go back to the so I assume we're gonna do the pod. Let me make sure that the tool actually works. Okay, so that works. Let me try the pod initialize. Oh, we already have one. And then let's add the Firebase here. So we do pod Firebase analysis. That's how they do it. Oh, open the pod file. Okay, so it should be this one. All right, we got to add our dependencies. All right, so not very familiar with this, but let's try it. And then you got to add this one here somewhere. Where do we put? So maybe I assume it's somewhere here. Okay, let's put it here. Okay, and I think we also need other tools. So let's actually find out what's the name for other tools. So we need authentication for sure. We need a database, a real-time database. All right. And do we need something called a core? Looks like we don't need it. So after that, let's do a pop install. I got the files right. With this one, this is very important. It's going to get all the Firebase stuff. Okay, looks like we're doing it. Hopefully it works. All right, so this one's got installed, and then some kind of warnings should be okay. All right, and then Okay, update it. So let me just code it. Okay, make sure I got the most up-to-date version. Okay. So once I have all of those, assume we can run it. Try it. Configuring file, we did the add plugins, we did it. All right, so let's see if that works. Okay, so I'm gonna open this project. Let's just run it from here. And then I'm gonna stop this one, run it for the iPhone. Okay, hopefully it can work. So basically, Android and iOS use a totally different build system. Android uses Gradle, iOS uses this thing called Pod. That's why even if you add the Flutter dependency, you also need to set up all of those. It's kind of a, that's a pin part. Sometimes you will have different issues. All you need to do is just Google. Right, so far, it's good. All right, I'm gonna get my Android app ready first. Everything is slow right now. I'm opening too many things. All right, so this one at least it works. Let's wait a little bit more. Okay. All right, while we're waiting, any other kind of issues or challenges you're facing right now for your app?
Yeah, can you show the data without like pressing the button? Like,
Show the data result pressing the button. All right, let me clarify. Which one are you?
yeah, you show this, can you show it on
Other screen.
yeah, like those data. Can you do it on the other screen rather than
I'm still confused. So you're showing, you want to show all of the students in another screen?
Yeah.
Then why don't you put the codes in another screen? Of course, you can pass anything, right? You, earlier I showed you pass one object. Can you just pass the whole list? Is that what you're asking? Yeah, you can pass. It's just like Java. It's an object. You can pass anything you want. You can pass one object. You can pass a list of objects. It can be anything. But the maximum is the same. So all you need to do is just go here. This one here, rather than receiving just one student, you can receive a list. And then you can pass the whole list from here, right? You see we have the list here, our student list. You can just throw this object over, and then the other screen will do exactly the same thing as here. Okay, that's how we do it. It's all about data. If you know how to show it in one screen, it's the same for the other screens. All right, so this is taking particularly long. Is everyone already working on some kind of Firebase or server stuff now? Okay. Yeah, it's what I'm showing you. I mean, this demo looks so far so good. But I actually spend more time than this. You know, when I just set up everything in the first place, it's all different issues. Okay, but it's really cool once you set it up, make it work because it saves so much time. And if you want to build your own backend to all of this, you know, it's not really realistic. That's why this kind of a project is so successful. It asks, it basically have the developer to focus on application side rather than all the backend stuff. All right, so something's wrong. Let's see. This is weird. It didn't show you the actual error message. All right, so pass is identified, configuring default file. Again, I can't guarantee we can set up this one. I know the OS was a little bit tricky. So let me just, there anything wrong with here? Let me run this one from the Xcode, see if we got any luck. All right, so looks like we got the Firebase stuff. And then we also have, oh wait, we don't have the Google. Where's the Google file? I think we're missing the Google file. I thought I added. Let me see. Yeah, we do have the Google file. All right. So let's try to run this one more time. Let's see if that does anything. All right, so this is gonna take a while because I'm running too many things right now on my computer. All right, so it's promising. Hopefully it doesn't crash. All right, so I think that's maybe the reason. Okay, let's try it anyway. So it's good to have this one also show up. So using the same, as you can see, guys, this is kind of a good example to show you. You set up the backend. Now this is totally different app and totally different client. And then you log in. That works. Okay, that's really cool. All right. So how simple it is now. Let me first prove you the real-time feature. That's what I'm trying to do here. Okay, let me open all of this screen. Okay. So we have a web, we have a iOS, and also a mobile. Okay. So that's the web. So 3 students, and mobile, and iOS and Android. Okay. And now they're all like synchronized. So for example, I will create a new user from here. Okay, so I will do a new user and major in biology. All right, so I'm gonna add the students. Once I add it, you should be able to see the changes across all the platforms. All right, very quickly. So the 4th student Bob shows up here, shows up right here. Okay, or if I delete one of this, I'm gonna delete Alice. Once I confirm it, okay, that's gone from here, that's gone from here. Okay, total real time. And it's actually pretty difficult, but we didn't really do the difficult part. It's all handled by their Firebase server. That's why the Firebase do have like a free tier limit. Okay, you need to be careful about this one. Don't feel that this is something that you can use for any amount. There are some kind of pricing. You can find it out. Let me see, where did this show the pricing? All right, so you can take a look at the free plan. What do you have? For the free plan, that's what we have so far. And then for the database, okay. So simultaneous connections, 100. That means you can have 100, up to 100 clients connect to the database directly in parallel. That's actually not a small number, okay? But you should know that if you have like over 100 apps, and then it's going to give you warnings, then some of those won't get updated because there are costs, okay? The storage, 1 gigabyte, and then how much data you can download, all right? So, but this is the most important number you should keep in mind, okay? So it's not for free. After that, you have to pay. And then this plan is based on, okay, this is a little bit more. It's based on the amount of data you transfer, but the real time definitely something that's expensive. So the Firestore, this one is cheaper, but this one doesn't have the real time feature. All right, so that's how it works. All right, so not bad actually. So the iOS is better than I thought. Looks like they're also improving a lot of this setup a lot. Right? But you do have a Mac to run all of this. All right.